The following is a conversation. It has the features of any conversation, such as imperfectly expressed thoughts, ill-considered opinions, and the notions of several sleep-deprived brains. Try not to get your stethoscope in a twist about it.
Have you guys tried the Starbucks oil-infused coffee?
I've heard about it.
Wait, like petroleum? Like
No, like
crude oil?
olive oil.
Oh.
That sounds unnecessary.
I thought you were making a joke.
No. It's apparently, it's been a real thing for a little while.
Oh.
What is steatorrhea?
Yeah. I've heard that it's been quite the laxative.
I don't understand. And combined with coffee,
Woo! It's a combo.
that just sounds like a terrible idea.
We'll start
Better
prescribing it in the hospital.
Better make that diagnosis IBS because I be shitting.
Yeah. It just doesn't sound very good to me. I'm not sure why. Like I can just imagine in the Starbucks test kitchen them putting this together and being like, yeah, people will literally drink coffee, which already objectively doesn't taste awesome.
Yeah, Starbucks is not it.
Dave, you gotta get some like real coffee beans and make it at home. You're missing
Oh,
out.
I make cold brew at home. Mostly because I can't be bothered when I get up in the morning and I'm super tired
It's fair.
to like sit there and watch a coffee machine go or pour over some coffee. That's my life hack is don't do cold brew for the delicious coffee. It is delicious. Do it because it will save you a ton of time in the morning when you're barely functional.
I found that out 4 days ago.
Yeah. And make a whole picture of it.
Alex is slowly transitioning to just straight caffeine.
Yeah. But that's the key. I should say make a whole picture of it at once. Go to Amazon and find like a metal strainer. Make a whole picture of it at once. Your life will be measurably better after you do this. You're welcome.
Meandering in the margins of medicine, it's the Shortcoat Podcast.
Weird news,
Fresh views
helpful clues, and interviews.
by students for students.
Subscribe to our weekly show at theshortcoat.com.
Welcome back to the Shortcoat Podcast. It's a show that gives you an inside look at medical school from the students drinking from that fire hose, a production of the University of Iowa Carver College of Medicine. I'm Dave Etler. With me today in the SCP studio, she spends her time constructing dioramas of Elon Musk's many bathrooms. It's M1 Hend L. Kilani.
I don't know how to respond to that.
His pride and joy is the meticulously crafted collection of vintage aglets. It's MD PhD student Sam Hatfield.
Aglet's the tip of the shoelace, yes?
Yes, of course.
Oh, fantastic.
You know exactly what that is.
I
you
know
have so
exactly.
many collections.
You're the aglet, Jack.
Yeah, I have some made of steel, some made of platinum. Most are plastic, but they have pretty colors.
Yeah. His favorite pastime is whittling birds out of other birds. It's M3 Alex Belzer.
Yep.
That's the mark of a
birds
good.
aren't real.
It's the mark of a good podcaster. Is the one word
Yep.
silent reaction. He's an armchair enthusiast. It's M3 AJ Chowdhury.
Is that a Herman Miller?
Right? See, there you go.
I thought you were just going to end it at armchair.
That too.
He's an armchair.
Whenever I go into a new department now, if I find a nice chair, the first thing I do is that a Herman Miller? And I lean down and I look at the underside of the chair just to set the tone for everyone else on the team.
And also, what I heard was nude apartment.
Did you not say new department? You said new apartment?
New department.
Oh, okay.
Like
or new department.
Oh, new department. I heard nude apartment.
We get very comfortable in radiology.
I was not questioning.
Apartment. You just eat it. Don't art it.
Yeah. On this show.
Come on.
On this show, we often say that it's important to have things outside of medicine to keep you going, to spark creativity, and just have something to switch gears to when you're not feeling the whole med school thing, which I know isn't a real thing. I know every moment of every day you're like, I am excited to be in med school.
These are really just things to put on my CV.
And I know that your favorite non-learning medicine activity is music.
That is correct, yes.
And you do it. I don't even know if I could call this a hobby, AJ, the way you do it.
Oh, no, it's a job.
Because you like make money. You play gigs.
I do.
You have a band.
I have a couple.
Or you have a couple of bands. think that's excessive for a hobby, but you do you. I don't want to judge your hobby. So we're here today to talk about what people do when they don't do medicine. So you do music. Alex, what do you do?
Anything that I can inflict pain on myself.
Uh-huh.
So I run, bike, stare off into space as long as I can.
Also, not sure those sound like hobbies to me, but again, I'm not going to judge.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you do?
I do a little bit of everything, honestly. And so I guess what I did this morning kind of sums it up. I debugged an app I'm making, rode my bike to my garden at the Coralville Community Garden, then rode my bike here to do whatever this is. And then I've got my climbing shoes in my backpack to go bouldering right after this. And,
okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where do you go to Boulder?
The rec center, unfortunately.
Okay. That's fair.
Hend, what about you?
I want to do his day. It sounds fun. Well, I will preface this by saying to like anyone who's listening to this, like you don't need to do a hobby like 2 hours a day for it to count. Like it can be like whenever you want.
That's an excellent
Absolutely.
point.
I like to play Just Dance a lot.
Oh, okay.
So I got it on Switch and move around. It's
and
fun.
other things on Switch. You've brought your device to school here for lunch hour things. Those are awful.
Yeah.
It's nice to distract people.
Do a lot of people show up for those?
No.
No?
I mean, how many do you want to show up? I mean, like, there's a room that you're flailing your limbs about in.
Yeah,
like, you don't want a packed room, really.
I
No,
doubt
you
that
don't.
many people want to like look dumb, but it's fun.
It is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so music's my hobby. It's also a lifestyle. I spend far too much time in the studio when I should be studying, including right now for this test that I have in about an hour. Yet here we are in the Shortcoat studio. I've been playing music pretty much my whole life. My earliest memories are of me in Bangladesh, in my uncle's balcony, harassing the geese in the pond below with his acoustic guitar.
They deserved it.
They may have deserved it. Those geese were aggressive. Since then, I've grown up playing a couple of different instruments: guitar, violin, bass, drums. I sing, but bass is the thing that I play the most. It's what I usually get paid to play. And right now, I play for a couple of bands. In Iowa City, I play with the band Worst Impressions. We're actually working on releasing our first EP this summer, and we're releasing a single called Oceans, hopefully in the next week or two. And then I play in a band called Retro Gold in Des Moines, which is a pop rock cover band. And we have a couple of festivals coming up as well.
Okay.
Woo.
Busy hobbies.
Yeah. Lots and lots of traveling.
I think I have a clip from Ocean. Would you like me to play it now?
Yes, please. This is Ocean. This is a song that's coming out hopefully in the next couple of days. I wasn't the original bassist on it. There's another person in this room that may have originally written the bass lines. Shout out to that person if you want to say who you are.
I don't remember doing that, but it's probably me.
Yeah,
I'll take credit for that.
All right. It was Alex. Here's Oceans. Kind of slaps.
Thanks.
I like it.
Thanks, Dave.
Very good.
Thank you to Hend and Sam for bopping along.
Yeah.
It's something I would throw on a run or while I'm lifting. It sounds like it gets you going.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We have like 7 more songs coming your way.
Fantastic.
You're going to have a whole playlist.
I will. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Who's next?
Anyone else have singles they want to play?
I got one about beans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not on me, though.
I'm going to preface this with saying Alex and I live together, and the other day I saw his gremlin 5'11" figure on top of the counter reaching for beans.
Yeah. First off, 5'11".
Oh, you're not that tall.
All right, Mr. 3'6".
Alex is very, very tall. He's 6'6", I think.
Yeah, ish. I don't really measure. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, no, I'm a bean enthusiast. Coffee beans, jelly beans, garbanzo beans, pinto beans. Less experience with navy beans, but black beans are good. Favorite meal, beans in barbecue sauce. Garbanzo beans usually works best with.
I like beans as much as the next guy. But I don't know that I'm as knowledgeable about beans as you are. Is this a true thing, what you're saying, or are you just with me?
No, I got beans on deck. Beans in the fridge. I got beans in the cabinet.
What is even happening right now?
We had a little going away open mic for Kate DeCherry, the now no longer the director of the humanities
give
program.
her, I mean, maybe a week from now she'll know.
That's true. That's true. Well, leaving us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And Alex made a rap song about beans to commemorate Kate.
Yeah. Our little bean. Kate, our little bean.
It was slightly less endearing than that, I would say.
Right.
Significant.
Maybe more endearing, but less explicitly endearing. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I also have like this thing for surrealist humor, sort of.
Yeah.
Where I just like say the first thing that comes into my mind that's just not based in reality. You know this.
I'm down with that. I love that.
Yeah. So I rapped about beans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I tried to show up to that, and it was packed solid.
So then you just left? Or?
I was like, I'm not going to get in there.
Oh. That's kind of sad.
We had
no, it's not. I mean, I was happy to see everybody there. And it was obviously that you guys were having a good time with it. And that was all I needed.
Wow. I envy you.
Dave, that's a very comfortable with yourself kind of place to be in life.
Yeah.
Happy that other people are happy.
Happy that other people are happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I would say on my more mainstream hobby train, I run a lot. Big ultra marathon guy.
Yeah.
Done some 100Ks, 100 miler. Actually, tonight I'm planning to run
100 miles
from sundown till sun up. Yeah, I ran 100 miles. November 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, I hobbled the last 25 miles took me 11 hours, and
just the last marathon, you just had to inch it out.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. Half the muscles in my legs just weren't working. Then I actually didn't feel or able to move my legs for 3 days after that. It was kind of bad. I had a plane flight that I had to get on. I had to get wheeled on in a wheelchair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was quite bad.
Damn.
It was quite bad.
Did you take aspirin?
No, I didn't. I should have. Actually, I should have done that low dose Xarelto. They're studying that for people in hypercoagulable states.
No idea what that means.
Yeah.
Wow. How long does a 100-mile run take?
It depends how
ages.
It depends how good you are at it. It took me just under 29 hours because, like I said, the last marathon was really bad.
And that's not all at once, right?
No, it is. You start and then you just go. Sleeping, just hobbling.
Later this summer, I will be driving to the East Coast with my family, which will take about 20 hours. And I'm going to remember this moment.
You could run it.
When I'm in the middle of it, I'm like, this sucks. This driving sucks. And I'm going to remember that some people run 5 times further than that.
Could be you, Dave.
Thank you for putting my life into perspective for me. I appreciate that.
You probably still won't be able to move your legs for 3 days.
I mean, yes, also.
True.
And I will also be in a hypercoagulable. So you seem to have more hobbies than usual.
Yeah, so
is that what you do? Are you a serialist? I'm
a serial hobbyist, I think. So, I never really had anything growing up, and so when I was 18, 19, I discovered hiking, and then I got into hiking, and I was like, oh, this outdoors thing is kind of cool, so let's go running a little bit. But I also have a child who's now in first grade, and I'm in an MD PhD, I guess, so you can't really have a whole lot of time to do one thing. And so my attention is just spread all over the place just so I can maintain just different parts of my body, different parts of my brain without having to throw too much of myself at one thing. That way I can, pick it up and put it down when life.
You're not a hyperfixator.
No, not at all.
Fair.
Can't relate.
Not at all. No. I will say the biggest hobby I've had has been hiking and climbing. Not ultra marathons, but I'll call it ultra hiking, I guess.
You'll get there.
The longest I've walked was about 53 miles. Walked for 26 hours, I think.
Nice.
Y'all are crazy. Anyway.
So it was, my wife was out of town with my daughter, and my friend and I wanted to go to a brewery. And
so you walked with
his car was in the shop, so we just picked a brewery. We lived in Bothell, and we walked, that's north of Seattle, and we walked down to the southern end of, whatever the eastern lake in the Puget Sound area is. I don't know.
Lake Washington?
Not Lake Washington, the one that's east of it. But anyways, we walked 26 miles down to the brewery.
As one does.
Got some drinks at 4 p.m., and then we walked back. And
well,
yeah,
that's a good friend. Yeah.
Sam, we don't know each other that well. Yeah. I've seen you in the hallways, but beyond that, this is our first interaction. I can tell you, however, that if we do become, I don't care how close friends we are, I'm not walking that length to have a beer with you.
That's fine.
I like to be upfront with people about how far I'm willing to walk.
Setting those boundaries.
Yeah. Like to set some boundaries ahead of time.
12 miles max.
I mean,
on a good day.
Yeah. What about your situation with the hobbies there, Hend?
I think I struggle with setting that boundary of having time to do stuff that isn't school.
Which do you focus on more?
The school, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah. I knew you would say that.
Yeah. But I try to play Just Dance like once a week. And I will also, every once in a while, I start a jigsaw puzzle and then I regret it because that's like all I do. I can't get myself to get up.
So you are a hyperfixator.
Yes, I am. I'm on the bean side of things.
Yes.
So I'm actually halfway through one right now. My neighbors got it for me for Eid, and it was like the cutest gift ever. Yeah, so that's what I was doing last night for like 2 hours.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice.
No shame, but yeah.
Hell no, that's hobby mode.
Yeah.
What's the puzzle?
It is a Thomas Kincaid painting. I don't know if you've ever... Has anyone ever heard of him?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, Dave has, so...
That's cool.
That's what counts. Those are my favorite puzzles. It's usually a really cute, like, nature scene.
Okay.
And it's painted, obviously.
Are you one of those people who finishes their puzzle and then hangs it up on a board?
No. I tried doing that once, and it was a disaster. I think I glued it, and then I, like, forgot about it for a while. And then I was like, wait, I don't know how to hang this up. So...
Classic.
Is it still glued together and just, like, chilling?
Honestly, I don't know where it is. I will update you. I'll come back on the show, because I'm sure the listeners are very interested in knowing where that is. My question is, it sounds like everyone is like pretty knee deep in hobbies. Mm-hmm. How do you make sure you carve that time out for yourself?
It ebbs and flows. Definitely on like surgery, I didn't touch my base for the most part, but I also wanted to go into a surgical field at that point. So there's that. It's just sometimes I'm more passionate about one thing than another, and the opportunities might just be drier in another area than what I want to focus on. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to make do with it and be at peace with maybe not getting the progress that you want for your hobby. If you do your hobby competitively like me, ranked competitive music.
U.S. news rankings.
I'm withdrawing.
Breaking news: AJ Chowdhury has withdrawn from the U.S. news basis rankings.
I've decided that the base ranking is biased, and therefore I do not want to participate anymore.
It doesn't really capture all of the nuances of how bases should be viewed.
Nah,
exactly.
It doesn't slap at a base like that. Well, I think for me, I view my wellness and the things that I do outside of medicine to be complementary to the things that I do in medicine. Mm-hmm. So if I feel like shit, I'm not going to be able to learn. I'm not going to be able to see patients. I'm not going to be able to do research. So it's almost like I need to do the hobby And I don't know, that keeps me going back to do it.
I think that's pretty clear from the hobbies that you've spoken about that you need to do these.
Yeah, it's for sure an addiction. Yeah.
I don't want to pathologize it, though.
I pathologize it.
Same. Alex and I both work out for like several hours a day, every day.
It's just a different way of doing things than I'm used to doing.
Fair. But it's not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation, especially when you have such a time-consuming and demanding field that you're in, like medicine.
I think I've kind of got the same mentality where I've got my family to ground me, and for me, I have my life that I'm living, and med school is a part of that life that I'm doing right now. And yeah, sometimes it can be intense, the thalamus. But, at the end of the day, what matters more is being able to sit down at 9 p.m. and play some Smash Bros. Or Wednesday evening is rock climbing, so we're going rock climbing. I don't care that you don't want to. We're doing it because that's what's on my schedule. So if you put it on your schedule and you say that that's when I'm going to go do it, then that's when you go do it, and you won't regret it, I guess. Yeah.
You're in your first year?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And you too, Hend. My question is, did you get to med school and were like, I'm doing the med school thing, I got my head down, I'm doing nothing else, and then you were like, all of a sudden you woke up one day and you were like, oh, wait a minute, I'm neglecting this other part of me? Or did you come in with an intentional plan to keep these as a part of your life?
I think we'll have completely opposite answers, so I'll let you answer first.
Really?
Yeah.
I think, I have to plan everything. I was like, okay, I don't care how awful this gets. I'm working out in the morning because that's what I did before, and I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Playing Just Dance every Saturday, and I'm calling my mom every morning. Those are my 3 things. And actually, I think it was for our nest groups. They had us make a list of a couple things we were going to commit to. Your nest group is the 6 people you will keep in contact with for the next 4 years.
Yep.
And they're in your class, and they had us make a list of a couple things we were not going to let go of no matter how bad it got. So those are my 3 things. And it actually worked. I think it really helped to actually hold on to those things. So I would recommend that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I'm given the opportunity to speak to new med students, I always encourage them to keep doing at least one thing, but hopefully whatever things make you happy, because med school will, if you let it, vacuum up all of yourself. So I'm happy to see you guys all doing the shit.
Thank you. That's the goal. How about you, Sam?
Yeah, for me, when I was picking where to go, I knew that Carver wasn't pass-fail, and when I came here, I knew I'm going to treat it like that. If between 72 and 89 looks the same on paper, my goal is 72. I have a buffer, but for me, never wanted to let med school be difficult for me, I guess. There's things that you have to study more, obviously, but for me it was always just my head is here to move through it, I guess. That won't work once I get to clerkships, but for now,
kind of enjoy it while you can.
It's an enjoy it while
you guys are in clerkships. I mean, you find time.
I will argue that on rotations, because you don't have to necessarily spend hours and hours and hours every day in didactics. And I mean, personally, I'm an extrovert, so I get energy from being around people, despite the fact I'm going into radiology. So I actually feel more energized to do the things outside of school during rotations versus preclinicals. We also were in the COVID class, so we were pretty much locked down for 2 years.
Weird time of it.
But I worked out this morning. I practiced. I've had a pretty good day, and I feel like this has been pretty manageable and balanceable on rotations.
And what do you do on those sort of more all-consuming rotations? Same thing?
Yeah, so I was listening to one of my other favorite podcasts, less favorite than the Short Code podcast.
Thank you.
The Stronger by Science podcast is a podcast about lifting and nutrition. And they discussed a study that found that people that at baseline had certain behaviors that were health promoting, like exercise and eating well, during times of stress, they actually did that even more. They expressed those behaviors more frequently and more intensely, and it got them through those stressful time periods. Whereas people that didn't have as, I guess, health promoting behaviors such as maybe binge eating or not exercising anymore during those stressful periods like finals week for exams, increase those behaviors during those stressful times as well.
So these are coping mechanisms, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, so that's where I go back to, like, this isn't just self-indulgence, it's self-preservation.
Yeah.
So, like, even on surgery, when I was doing my night call on trauma, I was going and, like, walking around the park and working out before my shift, and then I would come home after my shift at 7 in the morning, and I'd still be caffeinated, so I would go and practice my bass or go do any of the handful of hobbies that I do, not nearly as intensely, but also there.
Just making time for them.
Exactly. You don't find time, you have to make time.
That's, I think, a crucial component of it is telling yourself, I will do this at this time. So when it's like, for me, this entire year, unless I had a scheduled, like, mandatory thing, for me it's been, I will not study over the lunch hour, and I will go on an hour-long walk. And so every day this year, except for when I have something mandatory, I have put everything away and just gone outside for an hour, just because that is the time to do it. And if you don't do it now, you won't get it back, I guess.
Did you do that in the winter?
Yeah, I did that in the winter. I've been tan since January because it's negative 30, but it's sunny out in Iowa City.
You better be wearing that SPF.
Yeah, he's going into derm.
I gotta plug that.
Yeah. We have our derm exam in like 30 minutes. I walked over here and I was like, I'm putting on SPF 50 and I don't care if I look like a ghost.
I'm glad that regimen works for you. I unfortunately can't organize my life in that manner, so I have to go off vibes for my hobbies. I pretty much just follow, I'm not going to call them indulgences because it's not like quite indulgences, but I go off whims for my hobbies. I like get home and I'm like, what do I need to do right now?
I've watched Alex eat like 2 pounds of biryani and butter chicken and then go run a marathon at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, because it was vibes. My friend texted me. He was like, do you want to go run a marathon right now? And I was like, sure, why not?
As one does.
This is like a foreign country.
This is the most unrelatable podcast.
But no. On a less extreme level, like, if I'm not in the mood to study, then it makes sense to do the hobby, right? Because it's going to get me in a better mood. It's going to get me to where I can study more effectively.
Yeah, do you find that after you do these things? Or I don't know if you can say after you do like a marathon that you're
absolutely
ready to sit down and study.
Absolutely, I do.
Are you
absolutely.
serious?
Absolutely. While we're making this into a journal club about wellness, they've actually found that even as little as 10 minutes of walking can increase your concentration in the after stages of that exercise. So, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You see these people who are like burying themselves in the library for 12 hours on end, not standing up. That's their vibe, but
pulmonary embolism,
hypercoagulable state.
Stand up every like 10 minutes every couple hours.
Absolutely. Or every hour. Yeah. That'll pay dividends.
This is what I do at work. Okay, this is not a hobby, obviously, but I will accomplish one task and then I will go wander around the building. For a few minutes, and then I will come back and accomplish another task.
That's why you see me wandering the hall so much as well. I do the exact same thing.
Oh, this is great. This is why I see you all the time.
Does it work, though?
I mean, I get stuff done.
Yeah.
And I move around a little bit. I mean, I'm still a sedentary office worker, I think, at heart, but at least not completely so.
How do you feel, Dave?
Once I get back to my desk, I feel like I'm ready to go.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother.
Beautiful.
For another, at least 3 minutes.
Definitely, if I didn't have my hobbies, like, there's no way I would be surviving med school. There's no way I would survive at undergrad.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
The beans give you life. What are you debating on?
Like the couch cushion?
Yeah. Seems to be going home and immediately horizontal on the couch.
That's a vibe.
Throwback to 2007 plank era.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely planking, but without the muscle use.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm lucky, an animal appears and I cuddle a little bit. Not like a random animal.
That's my favorite hobby.
From the zoo or something, but
just lay down outside, wait for a baby squirrel.
Raccoon.
Yo, we did get graced by the presence of a serendipitous cat the other day, though.
Oh.
Me and AJ were chilling on the couch and we hear this like bang, bang, bang on the window, and there's a cat that looks like it like wants to be let inside. So we go outside and we hang out with this cat.
Yeah.
Lives on our block apparently.
Nice.
Graced us with its appearance. named Goody, short for good night.
Huh.
Yeah.
He was a good boy.
This is definitely a tangent, but the only cats who come and visit us are giant bruiser cats with really bad attitudes who want to taunt my kitties.
Oh,
apparently, and who are scared of nothing. There's a big orange cat who shows up, and I will go out back. My theory is that the fact that each of these cats are all angry at each other is just a part of being a cat. Mm-hmm. So I'll let it go on for a little bit. They can't hurt each other. There's glass between them. Pandora freaks out. But then I'll go out after a while and I'll try to shoo away the big orange cat. And
he just wants his brain cell back.
This cat is afraid of nothing.
Wait, is that Steve? Is that Steve?
Maybe it is.
There have been these posters around downtown Iowa City that's like missing Steve. And there's a couple pictures of this big orange cat with like white spots on it.
I don't know.
Oh my
Could
goodness.
be Steve.
It's not bright orange. It's kind of like a paler orange. I don't know if that helps.
I'll send you a picture of Steve.
Send me a picture of Steve.
Yeah.
I would like to know, Steve, if this is Steve.
Steve, if you're out there.
A, he's a bruiser. And B, I have tried to chase him off. I've tried to approach him in order to get him to retreat. So that's where I started. I'm not a monster. And then I tried a big stick. Not to hit him with, but to sort of prod him, or wave it at him.
My dude going Teddy Roosevelt mode.
Yeah. And he just kind of stares at me and goes,
I don't have a cat.
And then the last time I used a squirt bottle.
That should work.
No. Well, I mean, Steve retreated. But
I'm just calling him Steve.
Yeah, he's Steve now. Steve retreated, but he retreated very slowly, as though he was trying to send me the message like, okay, I'm leaving, but it's not because of anything you're doing. And yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I took that over. I need to tell people about this cat because I don't understand this cat at all.
Listeners, if you have any ideas for how Steve can be shooed away,
eradicated,
send them in. Eradicated.
I'm trying to nuke Steve.
Explosives, yeah.
Send them Dave's way.
Yeah.
There is a story of a terrorist kitty that we learn about in pre-clinicals in Iowa.
Yeah,
is it one of like, is there like explosives getting wired into a cat? Have you heard of that?
What are you talking about?
No. Okay. Just Google it. Never mind.
I don't think I will. Anyway.
I don't want to.
I think you're on a list.
Infectious disease lecture.
I understand.
Yeah, the like FBI had to come in and like
Nopolos.
Yeah, Dr. Nopolos teaches it.
She gave you that lecture? We had a different person this year.
What's the deal? What are we talking about?
I think the cat had tularemia on it, and a couple of people got exposed, so they tracked the cat down as a source, and were like, we gotta autoclave this cat. Then Dr. Nopolos, her presentations are hilarious, so she turned the cat into a terrorist kitty.
It was classified as a terrorist.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh my
God. Like governmentally.
What are you talking?
And like this actually happened.
This is a real thing, Dave.
The Iowa department was like, why are we autoclaving this cat? Like, it's not a terrorist. And the government was like, you got it. Like, that's protocol.
We autoclave terrorists?
I wasn't aware of this.
Hey, you better stop negotiating with Steve, Dave.
Steve better watch out.
Guantanamo's looking even more. Okay.
Yeah, but that was a
Free my
horrendous
boys.
lecture. Oh my God. Yeah.
I do remember
Poor
that
cat.
lecture, yeah.
Still feel like I'm missing part of the story. That's okay. That's okay. Can we look this up somewhere?
I'm sure it's somewhere like on
Probably.
Icon. It was. No, I'm serious.
It was on Icon.
I'm
Yeah.
serious.
Icon
No, there's this
being our,
PowerPoint slide, and they like put a gun in the cat's hands.
The cat had like a bandolier and everything.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Well, back to being horizontal, Dave. So
It's good. No, we're gonna bring this full circle.
My-
never mind. Okay.
I guess I could say that my hobby is currently my cats.
Okay.
Okay. I guess that's my hobby. I like to think of myself as a competent DIYer. I did make a rather serviceable dining room table that we've been using for many years.
Wow.
Fantastic.
What color is it?
It's black.
Okay.
Wood color.
Okay, if that's what you want.
No, that's cool.
Grain and everything to be.
Oh no, mahogany.
Mahogany.
But I also am terrified of doing the things because I'm afraid I'll get started and then we'll mess it up so bad that I'll have to call in the pros and be embarrassed. So I lack confidence, despite the fact that I think I'm competent.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Dave.
So this should turn into what would you call it? A pep talk for Dave.
I think it should be noted, like, there's no right way to do a hobby. Like, you don't have to do a hobby according to somebody else's standards either. If you want to make really shitty furniture, you go and do that, please.
Yeah.
That's the bomb.
So we just got a new shower put in. That was something I was not going to do myself because it's kind of complicated. But the best of the bathroom needs to be done, and I'm very excited about doing it, except I can't bring myself to get started because, again, I'm afraid that once I start, I'm going to get myself into such a deep hole that every time I spot a problem, I'm like, okay, now I got to think about this for a month. And then
that is a very real hazard of getting into a hobby is you go from like, hey, how do I make a simple little thing to being on Reddit and like comparing like the different tastes of water based on the vessel that the water is being carried in.
A fellow hydro homie, I see.
You know it.
But you're right. I feel like for literally anything you can think of, there's someone that like has made it their whole life. And if you're like, well, I have to be that or I can't do it at all, you're not going to do anything.
I've spent hours EQing every single person's voice in this room except Sam.
What did I do?
Oh, you'll have this happen too soon enough.
Okay.
I'm the editor this week. I have to bring up the one fear that you had when we were talking about this earlier this week is you don't want to be seen as a white guy with a podcast.
Uh-huh.
Why is that, Dave?
I just think it's kind of become a cliche. Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand that cliche. So on that 53-mile whatever hike that my friend and I went on, we recorded our conversation the whole time.
Yeah.
Just because we put our phones in our pockets and just recorded it, just because on our previous walks we would always have like discussions of philosophy or science or random bullshit that was going on at work.
Beans.
Like beans, sure. We recorded it and we just genuinely considered releasing like episodes of a podcast just called Two Dudes on a Walk.
Yeah.
And it was just two white guys just talking back and forth. And so I think that is a very valid criticism of being a white guy is we have podcasts.
I think the stereotype is more like 25-year-old white guy, unemployed.
There you go.
In his parents' basement recording a podcast, hoping to make it big.
Also fair,
and I think you're outside of that circle, Dave.
A little bit by roughly 30 years, yeah. And I have my own house.
And the podcast actually is your job. There you go.
Yeah, I do get paid. That's a good point. Okay,
you made it big, Dave.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, Dave, you're a king.
Unlike most podcasters, I get paid.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I feel great about I have a podcast.
You do have a podcast.
People, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Is your podcast your hobby?
Well, that's a good question. Mm-hmm. I mean, it kind of is because of all the bits of my job, I would rather be doing this than say, I don't know, filling out paperwork to get somebody paid, even though that's a worthy thing to be doing. This is a lot more fun.
This podcasting setup, by the way, Dave, it has just completely transformed over the last 3 years that I've been here.
Really?
That is thanks to our sponsors, folks like Panacea Financial, which if I haven't already mentioned it, I will mention at some point. As our sponsor.
Mention what, Dave?
Panacea Financial.
As our sponsor.
I know, that was your transition.
Our episode today is sponsored by Panacea Financial, a nationwide digital bank built for doctors by doctors. Panacea Financial is designed for medical students and residents as it was founded by two doctors that were financially frustrated during their training. Thousands of doctors have used their PRN personal loan to avoid credit cards and use a better way to cover expenses for residency relocation and other life expenses. Panacea's PRN personal loan does not require a cosigner, has no minimum credit score requirement, and has interest rates starting at half of a typical credit card. They also offer a period of no or reduced payments on their PRN personal loan. So I would suggest that you go to panaceafinancial.com/matchday to learn more about Panacea and get other helpful information about Match Day, residency transition, and how that all works. I think that's a useful thing. Panacea Financial is a division of Primis, member FDIC. Thanks for the support, Panacea. Let's get back to the podcast.
Sounds like a good hobby.
I would like to find out what you guys think about making your hobby your job, i.e., there seems to be sort of an urge among some to turn their hobby into a side hustle or something like that. I think maybe AJ might understand that a little bit.
I started an OnlyBans.
Oh my God.
Get out.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit more about that.
I mean, I presume that you started out with your music as sort of a thing that you did just for fun. And then ultimately you got good enough and then you started to want to, do it in public.
Yeah.
He was immediately getting paid. The geese were his first.
Out of the womb.
Yeah, they made it rain.
Yeah. Sorry.
So initially it wasn't really for fun. It was because my mom made me.
I knew when you said the word violin.
Well, I actually love playing the violin. I wish I still played.
I know, but no little kid goes, hey, you know what? I want to play the violin.
That's true. So initially, I kind of was, just bopping along.
I also played the violin for 9 years when I was a little tight.
Little
Suzuki methods.
So initially, I was bopping along in life as a toddler, just whacking away at strings. And then my mom was like, you know what? You're Asian. You're going to play an instrument and you're going to get good at it. So I started getting guitar lessons at first. And I actually wasn't super engaged with it. I kind of just did it because my mom made me go to lessons once a week. And I spent the first couple of years of my life in Bangladesh, so I would get smacked on the hands if I messed up.
Yeah.
So it was more out of fear than anything. But then I actually started getting okay at it. And my cousin started sending me, well, not sending back in the 90s, but showing me on cassette tapes because I'm that old.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex. His favorite music, which was like Slipknot and Linkin Park. And, it was during the initial wave of nu metal. And Bangladesh was very much so affected by it. For the better, I think.
Really?
So I grew up listening to like Iron Maiden, Slipknot, Linkin Park. And also hip hop was big in Bangladesh, so Eminem, Dr. Dre. And over time, I was whacking away at these strings and started making noises that kind of sounded like what I liked playing. And eventually in middle school and high school, started joining a bunch of really crappy deathcore bands in like the suburban basements of Northern Virginia.
That's where it's at.
Absolute menace.
Yeah, absolutely. And through that, I fell in love with jazz and jazz fusion specifically. And DC is a massive area for that. And through that, I started really, really getting good at bass specifically. I picked that up in college when I was studying for the MCAT. I came across one of Adam Neely's videos. He's a bassist also from the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. And the next day I started playing bass, started getting good enough at it that other people wanted to jam with me, started a couple of bands with friends, and over time, I started getting offers like, hey, you should play at this random bar. You should play for my friend's wedding. Ironically, eventually I got asked to play for CCOM's Deeded Body ceremony, which is to commemorate the donation of the bodies that we study in anatomy lab. Their families come, and it's kind of like a funeral for the families. So that was a couple years back, and I met one guy. He was a booking agent for a local music company in Iowa. He said, hey, I really like the way you play, but let's exchange contact info. And then I started Courier. I moved to Des Moines where he was located. He texted me out of the blue one day and said, hey, so my friend's band is looking for a bassist. Do you want to play? And I was like, sure, I got nothing better going in my life. And so that's how I joined Retro Gold. And through that, I started playing a lot more paid gigs. We are now playing festivals. We play weddings. We play private corporate gigs. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it sounds like you came to this sort of making money on the side, or making money at all.
Yeah.
Sort of organically. Like it just sort of happened and you were happy to continue doing that.
Yeah.
And that you get out of it something other than money, because obviously you're
You don't go into music to make money.
You enjoy playing in front of people. That gives you energy, basically.
Right. Yeah.
I do think that there is often, especially given the internet culture, that there is definitely a sort of pressure to somehow turn your hobby into a job, into a money-making venture, as though, and I worry that the message there is like, you're not being productive unless you're selling yourself. And so I wonder if you guys have any thoughts about that idea. Because you see this all the time, like on TikTok or whatever social media you're on, people like engaging in their hobbies or what looks like a hobby in order to sell the thing that you're doing.
Would you like me to go into an anti-capitalist rant?
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time on the show.
Yeah.
We've done such things.
Yeah. I'm going to say industrial nature of hobbies these days makes you lose some of the life around it. I know personally, so I ended up, I think about 2 years ago, I was asked by one of my good friends at the time to join a band with him, and I had never played any instruments before, but I picked up the bass and I played a show like 6 days later.
Which, okay.
I wonder who taught you.
It was AJ. He taught me. And actually, the guy who runs his band is the same person who's my friend for a long time.
Yeah.
Like the first playing with this bass, and we ended up making music. It's so fun. And then we started playing shows, and then it was like these late night hours, and it was like, okay, well, we need to make sure that we're not actually losing money on these shows. And then I felt like all my creativity got sucked out of it when it started to become about money, and it wasn't just some dudes playing in a band anymore. It was us trying to make, I don't know, go industrial, I guess.
Justify your existence. Almost.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, it lost the organic nature and the fun nature for me.
Yeah.
When I tried to get there. So now I've been like, I don't know, playing bass with one of my friends in the band. Just no strings attached, just trying to have some fun, you know?
Yeah.
Hopefully the actual strings are attached.
Yeah, those are the strings.
Sorry.
You got me there.
I had something kind of like that in the last couple months, actually. Over the last couple of years, I've taught myself how to code, and I've been big on the ChatGPT API hype train.
Really?
So I was working with a couple of medical students just across the country on making like a website that like automatically generated Anki cards or practice questions or what have you. And then I saw that 1,000 other people are coming up with the exact same thing. But the team I was working with wasn't doing any of the work, and I was doing all of it. So I was like, there's going to be 1,000 copies of this that are going to be obsolete in the next couple months anyways. They're just trying to make their like former crypto bro that went med school. I don't know, their backstory, whatever. And I was like, this is something that I'm just coding for the fun of it. It's just more fun to solve the problems than it is to approach it with, how can I make money from this? I don't know.
Yeah. And also if you want to make money from it, that requires that you're like relatively good at it or like skilled. And if you're not there and you don't want to be there, you can still do the hobby.
Yeah. As we said, what I'm doing right now with you guys is not technically a hobby, I guess, because I, get paid for it and all that kind of stuff. But it's one of the reasons why I try not to pay attention too closely to statistics, like, how many people are listening. Like, I have a general idea, but I'm not going to obsessively look and see and use numbers to try to justify its existence. To me, the fact that the five of us are sitting here having a conversation about this thing that we want to talk about it feels more important to me than the number of people who aren't us. And if people who aren't us are listening and are happy to do that, then that makes me happy. But I try not to worry too much about it. And I have occasionally tried to offer merch or whatever. And again, that sort of feels like I'm trying to justify my existence by coming up with a monetary, I don't know what's the word, or justification for it. So I don't know. It is what it is. I'm having a good time doing it. I am, in this case, getting paid. I feel like when people come to me and they're like, I want to make a podcast about X, Y, or Z. And my first advice is, don't do it because you want to make money. That doesn't make any sense. You're not going to. Nobody's going to listen, at least when you start. Just do it because you want to do it and you want to have fun. I think that same thing applies to hobbies. Do it if you want to have fun. If you want to make money off of it, okay. But I worry that it will strip the fun from it, like Alex said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I see the work-life balance of having a job versus having a hobby as like, work is something that it could be fulfilling, it could be meaningful to you in a personal or professional manner, but it's ultimately going to be what allows you to live your life. And hobbies are one way to actually live your life and pass the time before you eat your mortal coil. So enjoy that part of the hobby. No one's going to remember like how much money you made doing your hobby or like how famous you got off of it. People are going to remember, or you on your deathbed are going to remember like how much you enjoyed doing a certain part of that thing or all of it. Like that's what matters. That's what your memories are going to be, not like you've made these accomplishments and this many people liked your video on Instagram. That's definitely not something that keeps me up at night.
Yeah, nobody's gonna care if it wasn't fucking swag. Nobody's gonna care about the money if it wasn't swag.
All facts, no printer.
Yeah, dead ass.
Don't discount the adrenaline rush though with notifications. You get some little dopamine.
I am happy when I can see that a bunch of people saw a clip or whatever that we posted. But I'm also aware that's not as important a reason as just doing the thing and having a good time.
Now, I do feel like the drive to mix work and hobby, or turn a hobby into work, we all come from the place where our like future job prospects are not bad at all, right?
Also, that's a very good point.
I feel like there is this aspect of the American dream for people who aren't privileged to have a career in medicine. To where there's this, entrepreneurship is the way to the upper middle class, and so I could see how a lot of that would be manifested in the industriousness of hobbies. So I get that, but
I actually feel a little bit opposite about that with medicine. We do have like a guaranteed high paying job type of thing, but the career prospects are medicine. Like I feel like doing things outside of medicine, doing my hobbies that's my one outlet to do something that's not like predestined for the hospital type of thing, because an MD is a non-transferable. You don't have any skills other than treating patients.
Just that.
That sounds like
I don't know that's totally true.
That sounds like a whole nother show, actually.
But I feel like my hobbies are a way of getting outside of the career path that we're on. I don't know.
Sure. I think, like I said, I think we're privileged to have that that sense, because a lot of people could be in a situation where their hobby is the way into a career path that they want, and that's a much more tenuous path, nebulous.
Yeah, like becoming a carpenter because you like making tables may not necessarily just be enjoyment. It might be the way you put food on the table eventually.
Plus, you gotta have a place to put all those tables that you obsessively make every week. Yeah. You can't just pile them up in your house.
Dave, I'm not the one making tables here.
I mean, you might as well sell them.
That's a great point.
Yeah. I'm full of great points.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we've been recording, believe it or not, I've been recording for more than an hour.
Oh, wow.
So maybe it's time to let you guys go and take your various exams and tests and do those things.
Skin mode.
Yeah. Get back into skin mode. It's weird. But
does that have to do with the nude apartments?
The nude apartments, yes. We're going to go to our nude apartments.
Full skin exam.
Me and AJ live together.
That's true.
There's a vision. Thanks. That's our show. AJ, thanks for putting together today's episode.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And Sam, Hend, Alex, thanks for joining us to talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks for having us.
And what kind of turd aficionado would I be if I didn't thank you, Shortcoats, for making us part of your week? If you're new and you like what you heard today, follow the show wherever fine podcasts are available, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. The show is made possible by generous donation by Carver College of Medicine, Student Government, and ongoing support from the Writing and Humanities program. Our music is by Dr. Vox and Catmosphere. I'm Dave Etler saying, don't let the bastards get you down. Talk to you in 1 week. Hi, Shortcoats. Look, life in medical education, life in America, life in the world is often difficult. And I often wish I could help. All I have is this podcast, but in my wildest dreams, you have the support you need to lead a life of your choosing. You deserve to be happy, healthy, and successful in whatever ways you define those words. So if you need support because you've experienced racism, discrimination, harassment, mental health crises, I want you to be able to get the help that you need. And so I'm going to put some links in the show notes to some resources that you can use. But the bottom line is that for what it's worth, I see you. I know you're out there. I wish I could do more. Maybe I can in ways that I don't understand yet or know about. But I see you, and I'm glad you're here, and other people are too. The Short Code Podcast is a proud member of the MedEd Media Network. Inspiration, information, and